Welcome to the eSales Podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the art of online selling. Whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, digital marketer, or sales professional, this podcast is the passport to dominating the digital marketplace. In this episode, we talk to Marissa Burns, who's an image consultant and a personal brand stylist. She works with personal brands and companies who want to build their personal branding and bridge that gap between online and offline branding. She also gives us tips as to how to actually develop your personal brand. And if for those of you who are just starting or wanting to, revamp their brand, this is the perfect episode for you. My name's V, your e-sales navigator. Get ready to boost your online sales game and unlock your full potential. Let's dive in. Welcome to the eSales Podcast Show. Today we have Marissa, who is an image consultant who works with people who are the front face of their brand, help them stand out online through personal branding and also styling as well. So I'd really love to have her on the show today, talk about sales, how she's helped other owners really stand out in the crowd when it comes to, their brand. So Marissa, welcome.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
No worries at all. So look, I'd love to kind of hear more about what you do. I know you've got the style and the red going and it looks so good. So it's all about your, image and personal brand. So tell me more about you, Marissa.
Sure, absolutely. So my kind of specialty in the world of style is helping professionals translate their carefully curated digital brands into how they show up in real life. I've noticed that sometimes there can be a lack of consistency in the online version of ourselves and kind of like who we are day to day. So helping entrepreneurs kind of bridge that gap and help them develop a personal brand style is the main part of what I do.
Oh, great. So look, tell us more. Tell us more about.
Yeah,
tell us more about what you do.
I feel like this is kind of like the new frontier of branding, if you will. When we start a business, we know we're going to need, a great website. We're going to need to make sure our SEO's going, rocking. We're going to need some really great brand photos. But what happens after that? What happens after we've found people who are interested and they fill up our webinar? When we show up to that webinar and we're not showing up in a way that is consistent with kind of how they expect to see us based on how we've been presenting ourselves online, that can actually breed a sense of distrust in our clients and can make, closing that sale or that customer so much more difficult for ourselves. So I know it's silly to think of style as kind of like a sales strategy, but when it comes to sales psychology and how to help people feel comfortable and feel like close to you, how you show up does play a big part of that equation.
Yeah, okay. Fantastic. So I guess how does the style, how do you first establish your own brand through that? It's really hard sometimes to bring out you through social media. Do you have any tips for the audience here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being able to kind of start from a place that's authentic from the get-go is really going to set you up for success. If there's like a lot of trends in the digital world of like, oh, this color palette is trending, or this kind of font and verbiage is trending, it's like, well, if that doesn't necessarily resonate with you, then don't do it. So I encourage my clients, whether they come to me after building a really awesome digital brand or as they are doing that, my first kind of exercise with them is to do that deep dive into their brand to figure out what their brand essence is and come up with what I call image adjectives. And so, if you want to come across as like luxe and polished and sleek, then that can be kind of the guidelines for building out that digital space, but then also how you dress day to day. And does that make sense for your business, right? Because if you're in like this creative, funky field, maybe coming across as kind of like cold and stark and sleek is not actually what you want, right? So building out these image adjectives and really getting clear on words that resonate with you and words that also resonate with like what you want to be forward about your brand is step number one. And what's great is once you have those kind of like 5 adjectives, they can act as like a guide when you're writing a blog post, when you're writing your social media post, and also when you're getting dressed in the morning. So kind of doing that like brand work, initially is going to help you kind of on that digital side, but also when you're building out a style side as well.
Yeah. Okay. And so you're saying, if we kind of establish these 5 adjectives that describe our brand, you're saying that sets a good foundation to work on this color scheme, the website, the social media posts, everything like that. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you want people to associate your brand with being kind of like creative and innovative, then that's going to, help you choose a font, right? But it's also going to help you choose a jacket. So
That's
getting
so
kind of
true.
solid on that, it can help you kind of bridge both worlds. And
Mm,
that's really what I want to help clients do is like build that authenticity that
mm.
like that's a bridge between who you are online and like who you are on Wednesday at 2 p.m. And I think like that's the most like real authentic like juicy place to be is because there's so many brand like we're inundated with messaging, right? Like online or otherwise, and being able to show up in a way that is so human, like so real and like is you is what's going to
Mm.
help you stand out. Like being human is actually kind of rare when it comes to like brands,
Yeah.
and like a sales presence.
Yeah.
Being a human and getting into like what is uniquely you
Yeah.
is what's going to resonate with your ideal clients.
Yeah, okay. Okay, fantastic. So I'm loving that last point that you said around resonating with your ideal client. Okay, tell us more about how personal branding and how that comes through to attracting your client.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's so much strategy when it comes to choosing our fonts and our colors and our website and our promotional materials, right? Like what our photos look like, and we just consciously know that we want to put a lot of time and strategy into that, but also kind of taking that same strategy and incorporating that into like our everyday life and
Mm,
even what we choose to put on in the morning. It's all to kind of give off the right kind of message. So our website's designed to attract the right kind of client, right? Like if our website is super bold and colorful and bright, like we're looking for a certain type of person, but we're kind of neglecting a whole market that's in our real life, right? Like unless you stay in your office with the door closed every day, chances are you're going to the grocery store, you're picking your kiddos up from school, you're going to networking meetings. Like in your real life, if you can also show up in a way that is supportive of what that bold, colorful website looks like, then you're also going to be attracting that same kind of person in the
mm,
real physical world,
right.
right? So it's like a two front, right? So it's like we do that, here to connect with someone in Australia, right? To connect with someone that we would never meet,
Yeah.
clients and relationships and friends that we would actually never meet in real life. Having that brand strategy is important, but being able to show up in a way that is in support of that could help you attract that right kind of client who might live in your neighborhood, right? Or
Mm,
might shop at the grocery store, right? So I feel like there's been been kind of like one or the other. I see entrepreneurs build. Like we focus really heavy in on like local community, or we focus really heavy in on like global outreach,
yeah.
but being able to be consistent in both worlds is going to help kind of do that pull marketing for us, like
Yeah.
across the board. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I can see that because I'm just thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, I definitely click on the brands that I love the colors of. I definitely click the color or the people who show up in their videos, like, yes, she's the person, he's the person I want to work
Right.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of sinking in because I do kind of like naturally gravitate towards even just the simple things like the color. Like I'm totally looking at your red right now. Oh, I mean your orange
Yeah.
blouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. It's just another form of messaging, right? It's
Yeah.
just like visual communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. I love this. So I guess for the audience out there, for those who are just starting or, trying to figure out their brand while they're, building the plane while flying at the same
Yes.
time.
Aren't we all, right? That's the entrepreneurial way.
I'm literally in the middle of that at the moment trying to build. But anyway, that's another story. How do people kind of find their thing, find their zone, find their brand?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of two worlds, right? It's like, who are you? Right? Like, what are you about? What are your goals and priorities? What's your high value in life? And then what does your customer or ideal client value? right? Where do they live? What do they need? What do they want? What's going to help them? And like finding where those things overlap. Like that's really the sweet spot, is figuring out like that really kind of essence of who you are and then essence of what your client needs, and being able to kind of start from a place that like marries those two.
Yeah, okay, I see. And so do you have any like tips, tricks for the audience to start to dive into that?
Yeah. So what I like to encourage my clients to do, whether it's kind of from that digital branding side or that like personal brand style, is like sometimes we don't know what we like, or we don't know why we like it.
Yeah.
So step one is always like, go find some stimuli. Like go expose yourself to different perspectives, different styles of art, of some color theory. I mean, honestly, just search Pinterest, right? Like just spend a good 30 minutes scrolling Pinterest or social media and start saving all of these visual pieces that resonate with you. And you don't have to know why at first. You just have to know that like, oh, something about that I'm drawn to, I like. And you save it in a place, whether that's like a Pinterest board or like a folder on your phone. And once you have a lot, then you can go back and you look for themes, right? Like look for like, oh, are there colors here that are kind of like in the same palette? Are there styles here that are, essentially the same? Is it like really funky shoes, right? Like what am I responding to? And you just ask yourself like what themes are emerging.
Yeah.
Then you kind of, that starts to get like the juices flowing, right? Because sometimes we don't know what we like or why we like it.
Yeah.
But if we're able to kind of concentrate all of that into one place over time too, like this, give yourself like 2 weeks, right? Just read magazines, read books, like actual physical paper.
Yeah.
But also do some digital scrolling too, and just kind of like see, like sometimes we don't let ourselves like just respond, like just have fun, like don't even try to understand yet, just like emotionally respond to visuals, and then ask yourself why. That can kind of help you get started on that road of like either building your personal style, or speaking into what kind of brand you want to build in the online world.
Yeah. Okay. No, fantastic. Fantastic. I think, Pinterest is definitely like an easy place to start because there's so many things out there, and just picking something like, a picture and saving that. I think, when you go back, you're like, okay, there is a theme there. So that's a really, really handy tip. I know that I'm going to go back and do that. It's just a matter of establishing that brand again. So, what about the companies or the people who are kind of in the middle, like they've already got content out there, they've already got a bit of an audience, but it's just not resonating with them. What do you suggest when someone's in that scenario?
So when you say not resonating with them, meaning with their ideal client, or like with them personally?
With either. I don't know. What do you see in the marketplace?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think we have a syndrome of have tos. Like we do a lot of things because we feel like this is how you have to do it. And sometimes that may not fit our brand, right? Like it may not actually be right for us. And then I think sometimes and maybe this is like a cultural thing, but like we almost have rebelled so far away from what we feel like we have to do. Like we've got this like rebel spirit where it's like, well, I'm gonna do it this way. And it's like, well, sometimes there's pathways for a reason. And so I would just go back and kind of say like, okay, am I doing things so close to the book because this is how someone else told me to do it, and this is like a proven method, and does that make sense for me? Or am I like, have I even learned the rules to begin with? Like, so I went to film school, actually, film production. And one of the first things we learn in art school is learn the rules so that you can break them on purpose. Because there's a lot of, art is meant to be kind of like free spirit, like no boundaries, no change, but you have to learn the rules in order for your messaging to be impactful or your work of art to be impactful versus just a big old mess, right? And so that's kind of like, I think what I'm trying to say when it comes to branding is like, are we so by the rules that there's no room to be creative and break the rules a little bit? Or do we need to like rein ourselves in a little bit more and and to what actually does work, right? So I feel like that's like a roundabout way to answer your question, but those are kind of the two camps that I see entrepreneurs in most often, is like bootstraps, figure it out, like can't tell me how to do it, or we're like fearful and we're like rigid in how we do what we do, without the creativity. So it's like kind of bridging both these camps is where like the magic kind of happens. It's intentional, it's strategic, but it's also like creative and innovative and fun.
Oh, that's so good. I love that analogy of not love, like learn the rules and then you break them. I'm actually trying to like scroll through my brain to see there's actually a mad logic to that madness, because there's a Japanese saying. Oh gosh, there's one word that says basically you start off with learning the rules and then you follow the rules and then you like break the rules eventually.
Yeah.
And I think that's like such a powerful yet yet simple tool or strategy that people can go off. So, I think that's so cool and simple. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you understood, because it was like,
Yes.
I'm also a verbal processor.
Yeah.
So God bless my husband. Like I kind of don't know what I'm thinking until I say it. So I'm glad you followed me there on that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you listen back to it and you say, "Oh my gosh, yes, I was talking like, I know what I'm talking about." Oh, that's so good. No, oh, fantastic. And I think one of the things that I'd love to kind of get from you is, apart from those tips and tricks of establishing the brand, how can you maintain that consistency? And, like how can you, keep that brand image going through your socials, through like everything that you do as a personal brand?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say keeping kind of current brand photography is important, so that you always kind of look like yourself. I have a lot of clients whose LinkedIn profile is from like 12 years ago. And so like that's just an easy way to like be consistent, is kind of keeping up with getting those like brand images kind of refreshed every couple of years. And also when you're getting ready for photos, I think the tendency is to like, we go get our hair done and we put lashes on and like we kind of like really do it up. But if we're never gonna look like that again, right, then like that's probably not the best idea. So like start from like what you normally look like for work, right? What's currently in your closet that you like to wear a lot, or like how do you normally do your hair or your makeup, and just polish that up. So you're coming in kind of, here I am, right? Like super authentic and consistent, and not setting a level for yourself that's like way up here that, after 2 weeks, like you're going to stop. Right. So like, it's like that,
True.
again, that middle road, what a concept of like taking who you are and how you dress and how you show up and how you talk, and just polish it up a little bit when you're going to get your branding photos, or you're writing blogs, or you're, public, whatever message forward you're doing for your brand, kind of starting from that like authentic place.
Oh, yes, yes, I love that. Like, if you're not going to look like that in, 2 days time or ever, then I think it's a good kind of like measure to actually see whether that's going to be resonating with you or not. Because sometimes for me, I'm thinking, gosh, I don't want the lashes, I don't want this. I'm just like a simple person, right? Just keep it
Yeah,
really relaxed and chill. And I think that
totally.
really helps. Because I've been seeing a lot of people do these personal videos and personal images on Instagram, and I was like, that would be so cool. So I was kind of thinking along the lines of that as well. So on that, actually, I'm actually curious to hear more about like professional photography and like imagery. How important is that when it comes to building that presence online?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think it's almost like a non-negotiable at this day and age, right?
Mm,
Like everyone's got a website, everyone's got really good photos. And so it's like, it's really hard to compete in a space and look like a professional and an expert if you don't have imagery that speaks to that.
mm,
So just as much as we want to be consistent and authentic in like our local day-to-day life, so people are able to like match us to our brand. getting people to have that first initial conversation with us online really does depend. Like we don't have a lot of second chances, right? And there's no subtext, right? There's no body language in, you know, our website and our still imagery that could like could make up for, you know, a less than professional photo, right? So I think just being aware that that really is like our first impression online for most of our potential clients are that's going to make or break us, right? Like they got 7 seconds, they're scrolling, they're in or they're out, right?
Yeah.
Very rarely do we have a chance to like make that second impression like we do often in real life, right? With our local supermarket, you know, friends. Yeah, so I think having really professional images, but also, like I said, things that resonate and feel like you're a real human and not, if someone's questioning whether or not your image is AI, like that's actually working against you, you know, like, like okay to not be perfect, right? Like professional photos don't mean magazine, right? They don't mean so perfect, like, you know, good lighting, you know, like good posing, you know, like on brand for you, but does like take the perfection as a goal out of that. Like these don't need to be like, you know, editorial magazine photos. They need to look professional and like you.
Yeah. Okay. No, perfect. Take the perfectionism out of it as well. Yeah. Okay. No, that's really cool. I love that. And so Marissa, I'm keen to hear, how did you find your brand? What were the steps like to help you find your thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'll give you kind of the bird's eye view.
Yeah.
So I started in like the film world, in film production, and then kind of got into fashion from that world and through, you know, costume and set design, and then landed in the styling world. And so what I did was I started paying attention to like, what are people asking me about? What do people always ask my advice on? You know, I get texts from the fitting room, you know, more often than the average person. And so that kind of really led me into like, oh, well, maybe this is my thing, you know, this is what I have to do. And once I kind of realized like, oh, this is the path, right? Because as entrepreneurs, that's the blessing and the curse, is it could be so many things, right? But being able to hone in on like, what is it that I'm super good at, that people ask me about, that I feel alive when I get to do. Once I kind of landed on like, oh, this is the thing, building the brand wasn't super hard because it was me, right? Because I just am like borderline obnoxiously colorful. Like it was, and that's what kind of the spin that I bring to the fashion world is, it's playful. Like it is fun. This is not an exclusivity thing. This isn't a perfection thing. It's not a designer thing, right? It's about like self-expression. So kind of like doing that introspective work to kind of figure out like, oh, where is my path leading? And then once I got there, being able to kind of look at my closet a little bit and be like, oh, I know. You know where we're going with this. So it came from a super personal place. And I think that's what happens to the best brands. Like those are the best stories, right? Like when you hear of like, man, I had this problem and there wasn't anything out there that could fix it for me. So I designed this product myself that could like solve this problem. Like, those are the best stories, right? And so that introspective would be like my advice for someone else, is like, go inside for a little bit and figure out like, what do you need? What are you looking for? Like, what are you good at? And like start to build from there.
Yeah. Oh, incredible. You know, I'd be really curious to see all the colors in your wardrobe, you know, like, are you that person who has it like sectionized with different colors and things?
So yes, I do. Like when you were in school and you learned the colors of the rainbow, how did you learn them? Did they give you,
I don't remember. Obviously like a palette, right? And then the order of the palette, red. Oh gosh. Don't ask me about the rainbow.
So when I was in school, they taught us Roy G. Biv, like a name, like it was a guy's name with his initials, right? So Roy G. Biv. So my closet is Roy G. Biv. Like we start here and we go that way.
That's incredible. I love that so much. Roy Jean Bibb.
So my kindergarten teacher should be really proud that stuck with me.
Yeah. I know. Look at where I am now.
Right.
That's so cool. I love that so much. So, some people out there, the people who are listening, they want to get their wardrobe and their branding Rory G. Bibbed. How do they find out more about you?
Totally. So you can find me at my website, which is marissaalexandra.com, or you can find me on social. If you're interested in like a mid-30s playing the social game, then let's hang out. Yeah. On Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, it's Marissa Alexandra Style.
Amazing. I'll have all those links in the description, Marissa. So if anyone who's listening, please reach out to her, get your RGB, RBG, whatever it is.
All those letters figured out,
as you can tell. But yes, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Marissa. I've got so many different bits and pieces from you, so much like advice and golden value as well. So I want to say thank you.
Absolutely. So much fun talking to you.
Yes, same to you, and all the best, and we'll definitely chat soon.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you listening into the show today. And if you did like our content, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or this YouTube series, so that way we can keep giving you more content and sharing you more knowledge around how to scale your sales online. And if you are wanting to boost your sales online, please sign up to our e-sales school, where you will learn to automate and navigate your way around in this digital marketplace. Thank you so much once again. I really appreciate you joining in today. And remember to keep selling, keep having fun, and keep being you.